Now I want to turn to Mr. Donald J. Trump. Mr. Trump, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir.
So what was Jessica? Was she positive or negative? I just got into the last second of the conversation.
I think she was not a supporter. She was saying how you're persuasive and you're persuading a lot of people, but I think she was she was questioning some things, particularly your religiosity and your adherence. But listen, that's a great thing about the show.
I'm glad I didn't hear it.
No, listen, on this show, you get the strong supporters, and you also get strong guys that don't support you. But that's a democracy. Let me ask you.
I am leading with evangelicals big. In fact, nationwide, we're leading big.
Why do you think? Why do you think that is?
Because I'm a Christian, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian, and I'm not a liar like Cruz. Cruz lies. I've never seen any human being lie like this guy lies. Even Rubio called him a liar yesterday, and politicians
Mr. Trump, I want to get another topic, but however, you've been in New York real estate and global real estate and the gaming industry and with politicians. Right. You can't say reasonably that Ted Cruz is the biggest liar you've ever seen, given the environment you've had to come out. I've seen some of the guys you've had to do deals with globally, and
that's right. You don't want to deal with him. Let me tell you, I've dealt with much tougher than him. He's like a baby by comparison, but he's the biggest liar. Okay, let's get on to another subject.
Okay, listen.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
No,
okay?
you don't. You can't make me uncomfortable. I want to get on something though I think is more meaningful in substance. Number one, okay, let's talk about this. The basis of your philosophy, what you point to the American people. We're going to protect American sovereignty. We're going to build a wall, make Mexico pay for it. China, right. We're going to get 10 million jobs back from China, and right. We're going to temporarily halt immigration from Muslim-dominated countries until we sort out exactly what's going on in the country, who's coming in, who's coming out. Those three things.
Correct.
Okay. If you look,
those are among three things.
Okay, that's three basic. But you look around the horn. Yesterday at the border, 2 million people, open air mass. You had actually called out the Pope about a week ago, saying, "Hey." The Pope is very political. I understand he's the vicar of Christ and heads the Catholic Church, but he's very political, and he's gotten involved in this border situation, and he's really arguing Mexico's side. He doesn't understand the issues. Yesterday, and by the way, the Vatican came back against you by name, one of the Vatican spokesmen, which we're looking up. I don't think it's happened since Henry VIII, so it's like 600 years.
Great honor.
Yesterday, at the border, he had a mass. And in his homily, and we've got our lead story up on it, he really put the blame for this issue. Now, he did some symbolic stuff about praying across the border, et cetera, but he put the blame on this issue principally on Mexico. Do you believe that the Pope blinked because you brought up the fact that, hey, please do not get involved in American domestic politics here? This is very complicated. Do you think the Pope blinked and really took your side and argued that it was Mexico's making a lot of money? This is a Mexican problem. They're forcing it on the United States.
Well, that I don't know, but I put it out there because I heard the Pope and I respect the Pope and I love the Pope in many ways. I love, what he stands for, and I like his attitude. He's very independent. He's very different, and sort of a modern day Pope, if you think about it. But I put it out there because he was going to be at the border, and I said, well, you don't know, because he made statements about sort of me, I guess, or whatever. And I put out a very strong statement that, you got to take a look at the border, what's happening. There's tremendous crime. There's drugs pouring through the border. It's not coming from us. It's coming from the other side. And I made a pretty strong argument, and I talked about the wall very quickly, and it got picked up, and he could have been persuaded. I don't know, but I really respect the fact that he sees both sides. A lot of people are inflexible. They won't change. And I saw that he came out, and he is saying, hey, look, Mexico could stop the drugs in 2 minutes. Mexico could stop illegal immigration in 2 minutes. You can't get into Mexico. You want to become a citizen of Mexico, you can't get in. Mexico, Steve, could stop illegal immigration. We wouldn't even have to build a wall if they wanted to do it. And by the way, if I win, they're going to start stopping it also. Beyond the wall, we're going to build a wall anyway. But they're going to start stopping it because they could stop it. They say, oh, come on through. It's like they're a railroad station. But if you want to make a left turn and go into Mexico, you don't have a chance. Okay, you don't even have a chance. But when you want to go through to the United States, Mexico says, welcome, welcome. And probably, by the way, some of their bad ones, their bad dudes, they say, get the hell out of here. Why should they put them in jail for the next 30 years? Let's give them to the United States. See, we have 179,000 criminal illegal immigrants in our country. Criminal. These are people convicted of crimes. Some of them very serious crimes. 179,000 of them. They're coming through the border. So look, I know what I'm doing, and the people understand. And that phony Wall Street Journal poll that came out yesterday, which was In my opinion, it was a fix. You want to know the truth? CBS just came out with a poll that says the same as every other poll. You know, Wall Street Journal came out with a poll because I'm not a big fan of.
That's the Rupert Murdoch. That's a Rupert Murdoch controlled Wall Street Journal, is it not, sir?
No, it was a Rupert Murdoch hit. It was just a Rupert.
You believe that? You believe that's a Rupert Murdoch hit on you?
Well, it's something's wrong because look, every single poll that has come out nationally and locally, by the way, you see locally I mean, we're doing fantastically well, right? South Carolina, we're doing fantastically well. But every single poll that has come out over the last, long time has me up 15, 20 points nationally. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Wall Street Journal poll comes out, and I'm essentially even, but I'm down 2 points to Cruz, of all people. Cruz can't get elected dog catcher. So I'm down 2 points to Cruz. So now what happens, Steve, is they put it on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. When I was leading big last month in the Wall Street Journal,
it was back in the tire section. It's back in the tire section, right? When
you couldn't even find it.
It was in. No, I saw it. It was back in the tire ads. They had tire ads back.
I'm telling you, I never found it. I could not find it.
Hold it. Let me ask you. Hold it. Hang on. Rupert Murdoch, Fox News, New York Post, Wall Street Journal is his U.S. media arms. He's got also the Times of London.
Yeah, they treat me very badly. That whole group treats me badly.
Do you think that's because Rupert Murdoch's got? You think Rupert Murdoch's trying to do a hit on you?
I have no idea why. I don't care why, but they treat me very badly. I mean, it's obviously not having too much of an impact. Look, the Wall Street Journal poll was a phony poll. Okay, it was a dishonest poll, in my opinion. It was a phony poll. And even somebody at NBC said this poll can't be right. It was a small sample size, but it was a very conservative, and it was people at NBC News were embarrassed by it, okay? But the Wall Street Journal poll, I don't know.
By the way, you're talking about that's your new super PAC, the Morning Joe show, right? You're talking about your super PAC told you that.
No, not the Morning Joe show, but they treat me fairly at least. I mean, they treat me fairly. It's a good show. They treat me fairly, and CNN treats me fairly. The worst treatment I get is from Fox. Okay, between Karl Rove, who's a moron, between a Krauthammer, who he can't say anything good no matter what. I mean, when I won New Hampshire,
how can they treat you? How can they treat you badly? You have a very strong personal relationship with Roger Ailes. How can that happen?
Well, I don't know. Roger Ailes and I like each other, but he doesn't do anything for me. That I can tell you. He certainly doesn't do anything. In one way, he's very professional. He won't lift his finger to help me. Roger Ailes will not lift his finger to help me, which is fine. I mean, he's a professional, and maybe that's the way he's supposed to do it. But I get treated very badly.
Do you think they're over the top with Rubio, the Rubio support? Do you get a sense that they're biased towards Rubio?
They're in love with Rubio. I don't why. I have no idea, but they are in love with Rubio.
Is Nikki Haley and Marco Rubio going to become the Ken and Barbie now of Fox News? You're going to see him nonstop, 24/7 since she endorsed him?
Well, I don't know, but they are in love with Rubio, and it's amazing to me. And after he cratered in the debate, they protected him. And Megyn Kelly is, she's just, very biased. And I look at it, and I just look at it. In my opinion, I get treated the worst by far by Fox. And I do like Roger. He's a friend of mine, but he's a friend of mine that won't do anything for you.
Let me pivot back to Mexico.
I don't know if that's called a friend.
Many of our people that come to the site in the comment section, people that call say, "Look, I like what Trump says. But I don't know if he's going to back it up." Would you commit if you win the nomination, win the presidency? Let's talk about Mexican border. Would you commit to actually go down and spend significant time in the Rio Grande Valley, in Texas, Arizona, other places where this wall has to be built to show the American people you're serious about that?
Well, sure I would, but I've already been there. I've been there twice. I've been there 3 times. I mean, I don't have to spend the rest of my life there. I understand it. I can look, I'm a great real estate guy. I've made a fortune in real estate. I can look at it. And by the way, we are going to need a little eminent domain to get that wall built, just so you understand. You need eminent domain. You have to take certain areas, okay? Hate to tell you. But we're going to have that wall built, and it's going to be a great wall, and it's going to be a wall that works, and it's going to have a door in it because we want people to come through. You understand? But they have to come through legally, Steve.
Let me ask you on China. China, every number coming out of China, I don't know what you can believe, what you can't believe, but one thing's certain. They're walking down their GDP that is showing to the world. The country's highly leveraged. Big problems internally as it starts to unwind. All the bailout from 2008, 2016 has really been demand from China since the banks are still zombies. Do you believe that China is now where they're putting surface-to-air missiles in these islands, and now they're building these artificial islands, which are really just aircraft carriers in the South China Sea? Do you believe they're trying to be provocative to the United States because they're trying to take the eye of Chinese domestic people in China off the domestic problems, particularly as their economy starts to collapse, to try to focus on foreign interests and foreign powers they got to stand up to?
Well, I also think they want to scare us a little bit because guys like me I've been saying it for a long time, but people are starting to realize how China's just ripped us off. It's the greatest theft in the history of mankind, what China's done to the United States because of stupid politicians. It's the greatest theft in the history of mankind. And they see now that the United States is wise to it because of my campaign. And I think that they're probably being provocative militarily so that we don't do the things that we have to do on trade.
Is South China Sea a vital? Ambassador John Bolt was on here 15 minutes ago, said it's a vital national security interest, the free flow of the Pacific Fleet and goods from the Straits of Malacca to Korea, Japan, Philippines, United States is a central national security interest to the United States. Do you believe that?
I agree with that, but we have to be reimbursed for the money. We cannot continue to police the rest of the world, including Asia, so that South Korea can have free trade and so that other people can have all this free trade and so they can get rich and that we have our ships all over the place and we have our planes flying and spending billions and billions of dollars. These are wealthy countries. They have to reimburse us for our costs.
Last question about Apple. Apple, this whole situation about the encryption, about the phone from the terrorist. I know you made a big issue about the terrorists and about him getting in here. Where do you stand in this whole Apple issue? And do you believe your rise of this interest in nationalism that your campaign and obviously Santorum and others brought up has gotten Apple in a tough situation, or whether their loyalty is to the United States of America or it's to some global, capital markets?
Apple is wrong, and we should go in and get that thing, and we have to find out what's on those phones. And Apple is 100% wrong. They should break into the phone.
Last question on Israel. The headline is that you're going to look at both sides and be even-handed. Your answer on the situation with Israel and Palestine was actually more subtle, I believe. You said you know so many tough negotiators, that people, private citizens that have been engaged there, that haven't been able to move the football. The one point you wanted to make was that you don't intend to turn your face cards over all the time and show everybody. What would you mean by this response?
Was that not covered that way in the papers?
It is, but I think people are jumping on the headline that you're going to not pick sides, or I think they're going for the answer was more subtle, and a lot of times you don't have subtle answers. This was quite subtle. What did you mean by it?
My answer is this: if I'm supposed to be a mediator or an arbitrator, I don't want to go out and say this one's wrong, that one's wrong. I want to say, let me see what happens. Now, what I really said was that this is perhaps the greatest jigsaw puzzle in the world, the toughest puzzle to solve anywhere in the world. If you could solve this problem, because I've been told by great people and great negotiators, this is not a solvable
people
problem.
You admire that have been engaged in this, correct?
Great negotiators, talented. I'm telling you that. These are great negotiators. They say it's not solvable because the hatred is so intense, it's an impossible problem to solve. I would like to try and solve it, but I can't solve it if I'm going to start, saying the various things that they ask me to say. So what I want to, and what I tell you is it's a very tough say. It's probably, when you talk about deals, this is probably the toughest deal to do because the hatred is so ingrained. But nevertheless, and what I said, and I said that, but nevertheless, I will try and solve it.
Last thing, Mr. Trump, people are saying, the callers and people think that when you start talking about these issues, people lean forward. They want to hear the answers. They either like what they hear or they know at least where you're going, your thinking is going. But when it gets to these personal attacks, it's turning people off. On this Ted Cruz situation, you've dealt with the toughest hombres in the world. You can't expect us to believe that Ted Cruz is the biggest liar you've ever met. It's just not. It doesn't stand to reason. He may be a guy you disagree with, and maybe he's put up some.
Yeah, he's right up there. Let me tell you, he's right up there. He'll say things that are just totally wrong. Well, Rubio said the same thing. I mean, Rubio came out 2 days ago. He said he's a liar. I've never dealt with a guy like this. You have to set the record straight. At least I can set the record straight because I have people like you that take my calls. But the fact is, at least I can set the record straight. But no, he's right up there in terms, not by any means the toughest person, because I've dealt with some very bad hombres, but he is somebody that does not tell the truth.
Mr. Trump, thank you so much. I know you're incredibly busy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it, sir.